So that was just me being an idiot, and I didn't hit the go live button. Hello, hello, hello. Alrighty. So we see this beautiful street in New York City. And the Empire State Building has found its home, and so has 432 Park Avenue. Still going to have to add some night lights like the other buildings. Alright, we're getting a pretty smooth output as far as I see. Cool. Okay, so here is the actual map. A lot of people have not seen what the map actually looks like, so this is basically what the map currently is. The other map that you may have seen in certain photos is or anything like that is just a cinematic photos map that has a lot of buildings, and I honestly just use it for the skyline background. So this is the current map expansions. We're heading southward, and then we'll be able to get to the World Trade Center and Financial District. These buildings will be moved later on based on how this turns out. And they're definitely going to go way farther south. So how are we doing on the stream, everybody? This is actually my first working Roblox development live stream. I've only tried to do one back in state of Alaska, back when my computer had no processing power for video at all, but now I'm running on my newer setup. So this is the first time actually streaming with that on Roblox. So these are some of the vehicles. So here we have a Port Authority Tahoe, and it's still missing a lot of the smaller lights. Right now it only has the overhead light bar, and we still have to get some of the rear lighting, mirror lights, whatever they have in real life. The NYPD car is done. Now it may look like that these lights are on, but when the game actually starts, they will not be on. The only thing I have to fix is this sign. I have to make it so that way when you turn the lights on, then it will come up, because right now it's just on 24/7. So that is something that I want to fix. And here is the brand new trooper car, which is still missing some rear lighting here. It has to have a directional bar and amber lights, and then two blue lights in each one of a blue light in each one of these windows. So, and then these Explorers have the LPRs like they would have in real life. And here is the brand new high riser light bar. And there's still a bug with this car that it won't let me press the button to change the light patterns to turn them on and off. So right now I just have it permanently on just for testing purposes. But otherwise, when it's actually working and on, everything looks really nice. And the same thing as the NYPD car. And if I wanted, I could disable these. But for now, it's just fine to leave these on. Here's the squad. This is actually a somewhat outdated version. Because number one, I replaced the light bar with the vision lights, much like what is on the PAPD and NYPD cars over there. And this does not have the new GUI added into it yet. And the new GUI is still very lacking when it comes to new progress. We haven't done a lot with that, and still trying to work out a lot of things. Because I'm still learning how HASI works and how that operates, because I'm more used to the Mano cars and that sort of stuff. So HASI is new, but it's also works a lot better than the Rengate style or the Mano style, which a lot of the other cars use. And I get questions about civilian vehicles. I have not added any civilian vehicles into the game yet, as of now. But making civilian vehicles will be easy because I can basically just take these, rip all the lights and textures off, and then make a color of something. I could either make a random color script or have it so you can go to like a paint shop or pick your color, like almost like Westover. I don't want to compare to Westover because their GUIs are actually really good, and I'm still very new to that sort of stuff. But like, I probably want to make some sort of like colored car changing GUI or something like that. I think that would be really cool. But we're focusing more on the core mechanical components of the game, so like the vehicle designs, getting up some custom GUIs for them, and overall just making them operate realistically. This is the only hydrant in the game right now, so I still want to get a pump system working for the fire trucks and be able to connect to the hydrant. And there's actually an invisible hydrant wrench sitting on the top, so that way if a line is connected and then somebody decides to open the hydrant, this will become not this will become not invisible, so it will be visible. And maybe I'll add some like water shooting out of the hydrant or whatever, something like Emerge NYC, how they have so that the water comes out so you can see that the hydrant is on, and then that hydrant wrench will sit on top of the hydrant while that is activated. So that's the plan for the pumps script and then the hydrant connection. I did do some changes to the hydrant from what I originally started out as. I feel like it could look a little bit more like an NYC style hydrant. There's some sort of design details, but right now this is a basic setup, which I think looks pretty well. Looks pretty good. Yeah, I also made the pentagon shapes at the top of the hydrant. You don't really see anybody making the pentagon shapes on hydrants in Roblox, which a lot of hydrants around cities do have. They're not usually square or circular because you need to be able to use a wrench on them. The only problem with making the pentagon is making sure that, like, trying to make a pentagon that is equal in all sides and angles. That's harder to do because you're going from a square to that. I took geometry class, but honestly, it did not help me. I don't really want to apply a lot of that. So yeah, that's the plan for the pump system. For the yeah, and if you notice that these trucks don't actually have a pump panel because I want to add that with the pump system, so that way I'll be able to add all those components to every truck at the same time. Basically, once everything's done, I may have to do some minor layout changes depending on if it's a squad or an engine, but just the general pump setup. And we are going off of the FDNY probationary guide for a lot of the how everything works on the pump panel. And we really just want to bring out some of the basic operations. Like, we don't want extremely realistic pump engineering because that's a lot of math that you have to figure out. And we just want to focus more on the core mechanics of that, just to make it a little bit more fun, so that way you're not sitting there like kind of being bored and doing a lot of complicated stuff, especially for a younger community which exists on Roblox. All right, so down here at the very last block before this major intersection here, so if you go from Central Park, there's a major intersection just under it, but if you keep going down, there's another major intersection here with the two-lane roads. And here's a one-way street, and this is where you can find Rescue 1. And when the game is played, this flag here will actually, the texture will actually come up because the texture is engraved in a script. And that script changes the texture and also changes the mesh to make the flag look like it's moving and waving. So just a little cool detail there for when the game is actually running. I did this door design fairly recently. I finished the station but left a temporary door on it. And eventually I got back to actually making the door and making all that work. So yes, the button actually does work when you go into the game and click it, but you have to be on the FDNY team and you have to be in the FDNY group. So it's that double check to make sure that you are who you are. So it does help with anti-exploit as well. So it prevents exploiters. It makes them have a little bit of a harder time trying to get to any of these assets to steal them, drive around the map. So yeah, here we have Rescue 1. This helmet is going to be updated. This is one of the old models. The new models, if you are in the SoNY development Discord, you would have seen the new Ladder 4 helmet and Chief of Department. And Rescue 1 is still not done model-wise. The front is all done, and we have all these beautiful textures here, which these are the old textures. It took me forever to put this outline and stuff around them, because I did that manually before I found out that there was a plugin that did the outline tool here, like this. So there was recently a text update with the Rescue 1 stuff. And I made this flag, because they have that here. Where's the red light? I don't think... maybe there's not an updated version of the Rescue, because it's still missing some of the red lights here. And it took me about 3 or 4 hours, but I made a digital version of the Rescue 1 seal, which goes on the end of the... truck. And as you can see here, if you know Rescue 1, then you know that there's missing lights and stuff here. Like there's supposed to be a directional bar, the flashers, the blue lights, the opening cabinets. So yeah, still some work to do on the rear, and obviously the inside. And unlike last time, I'm going to start trying to do a more realistic interior, try and replicate what they actually have in real life. I found some pictures from the actual Rescue. And if I can, when I go to New York, next time I go to New York and I visit Rescue 1, I'll probably try and get some pictures of the inside that I can use for development references, and the outside as well. So when I go to New York next, I want to try and visit Rescue 1 and Engine 54 and Ladder 4 stations, so that way I can get the ideas and the real-life inspiration from these trucks. Because using images and all that is great, especially when there's plenty of them available, because these are New York units and there's a lot of people that take videos and pictures of them. The only issue is that you can't always get all the angles that you want. You can't always get all the little details like closer to the trucks that you're looking for unless you actually go there to these stations. So... and when you start the game, by the way, these doors are already open. So much like real life, they leave the doors open, and these doors will be open. But you do have the option to close them. So firefighters, if you're a firefighter with Rescue 1 and you ever want to close the door, there's an option to do so just by clicking the door. And I'll probably have to add a group lock into the door scripts as well, just to make sure, because you don't want civilians to click on the cabinets and the cab doors while you're driving by. That would just be completely unrealistic. Now you're probably wondering what this green block is, and this is actually my temporary dispatch block. I have FDNY dispatch tones, and these tones will dispatch the stations, and I have the custom sounds. So I have the two tone before the alert. Then I also have the actual truck dispatches, so it will say engine, ladder, whatever. And I actually recorded those myself and did some voice editing. I did some editing to that audio to try and replicate the dispatch as best as I can. And then eventually, once we actually start to get call out locations, I can start working on giving out the addresses for the streets, the conditions of the fire, depending on what the fire system, once that's made, will dispatch out. And the Empire State Building has found its home. It's been sitting on the outside of the map for a while, and it has finally gotten its corner. Normally, there wouldn't be a lot of buildings like in this kind of setup here in real life. But due to this being a scaled down version of Manhattan, I don't have a lot of room to work with, so I'm just trying to approximate and try and do that. Try and get it just as close as possible while still being within the limitations that I have. All right. And this is the thing that a lot of people won't notice, but you're driving down the block, and then all of a sudden you see maybe some graffiti on the wall. And this graffiti is actually here for my personal reference, because this is where Engine 54 and Ladder 4 station is going to go. And, yeah. So, yeah, probably look for some... You should probably look for some little references here and there if you ever get into the game and start playing it. Because once the initial release is probably out, then there's probably going to be some hidden things that me and maybe some other developers will put into the game. And even actual video game references, you should probably look out for those as well. So you never know. Maybe you overlook something. There's a little detail right there, which is actually referencing something else. So, just a little interesting thing. Look out for Easter eggs within this map is basically what I'm saying. And this map is actually quite an improvement from the first edition of it. The first edition had these really tiny blocks, and they weren't all really evenly sized. So the street size was a lot smaller. You had a lot less room to drive around with, and the actual blocks were a lot smaller as well. So these ones are actually much bigger than what they started out as. So there's this room. This map is a lot bigger than the last one, and there's a lot more room to work with. Even the wider roadways. These roadways are a lot wider than the original ones were. All right. So that's the general overview of a majority of the map. I also have made these custom traffic lights, which I built by hand, and used a plugin to be able to get the actual traffic lights working and all that. And these street lights also work as well. So in the daytime, these will be turned off as long as the game is running. Even if I set it to day in the Team Create, these won't turn off because they are static parts. But if I run the game, then you'll see that if I change the time, yeah, that will happen. So I think, if I'm correct, the day and night cycle, I think it's about 1 minute for every hour. So there will be about 24 minutes in every in-game day and night cycle. Yes, Spilvis, or however you pronounce your name. This map does remind you of Emerge NYC for good reason. Our Manhattan map is actually based off of Emerge NYC's, because Emerge NYC has the base of a scaled-down version of Manhattan, which is what we're looking for. Because we don't want it to be a full-scale version of Manhattan where everything is completely accurate, because Roblox, unfortunately, does have limits, and so do other people's computers. I've seen a lot of people ask me if this game will be available on mobile or if it will be available on Xbox, but there are some issues with doing that. First of all, mobile is nowhere near as powerful as what the computers are able to handle. So this game was going to be most likely exclusively available on PC. And for Xbox players, I'm really sorry, but I do not own an Xbox, so actually testing the game It honestly, I can't do it because I don't have an Xbox. So I wouldn't be able to know how operating is on Xbox because I don't physically own an Xbox. If only they had Roblox on PlayStation, then I could probably make that. But unfortunately, there are some limitations in Roblox terms that we're going to have to worry about in the future. Even for realistic maps, it is something that you do have to worry about because high part counts and a lot of that. So we want stuff to be as low poly and simple as possible while also still providing a realistic atmosphere based around New York City. Yes, I did actually build this map. I have discovered a new style of building, which I call modular building, where I had, let's say, this building and then the sidewalk and the road in front of it, and I just basically layered them together to make this. And it actually comes out really nicely, and it's a lot more quicker than sitting there and trying to figure out each road individually. The only issue is that when you have to do like mass modifications, like adding a bunch of signs to every street or a bunch of crosswalks, or these were all static lines because I didn't know how I wanted to do the dashes. So I also had to add those. So it can be a little bit of a hassle sometimes, and it can take a lot of time and effort. But once everything actually comes out, it looks really nice. So this is still in progress. Still trying to expand south. And here's the current playable map. And here's the edge of that. So we're actually expanding past the edges of the current map. As for the PKEG custom trucks, since I was just asked that in the stream chat, I have not gotten any progress started on those. I really apologize, but I hope that you understand that SoNY is a major priority to me, and I also want to get a playable game out for you guys as well. So I'm not really focusing on the smaller PKEG projects as much, even though I really do love working with in PKEG, working on customs and providing a lot of groups, some really cool and realistic stuff. But I also have to make sure that I can even supply myself with all that stuff. I'm really sorry about that when it comes to the truck orders, but unfortunately, that's what the deal is right now. The Discord server code for SoNY can be found in the description of probably just about every single one of my videos. I'd recommend that you check out one of the last or most recent videos that I've uploaded, especially the trailer video which came out. If you did not see the SoNY trailer, I'd recommend that you go and watch that because I think it did a pretty nice job of just giving you the current status of the map and as like a little teaser of something big is coming soon. That's basically the message that I tried to get out. So the release date for initial release is somewhere around late fall and early winter is when I want to release it. At the latest, maybe around Christmas time, and by Christmas time, we'd probably try and decorate some of the map to be a little bit more holiday themed, and do some minor changes with that once that's released. But I want to give you the early warning because I know that there's going to be a lot of people that complain about this once the map is actually released. Just because the map is released does not mean it is going to be finished. The map will be nowhere near finished when it is first released. So as the community grows, and the departments get more staff and all that, we're going to need a bigger patrol area. So that's when map expansions will come in. That's when new areas will be unlocked. That's when more of these buildings will actually be more buildings like those. and actually look more like New York City-based buildings. So any of these white blocks are just temporary to add that kind of urban feel so that you see some sort of developed buildings around you, so it kind of obstructs your view and kind of immerses you a little bit more, rather than if I left these out and only waited until I had the buildings replace these blocks. So, as for developers and development progress, development is going really, really slow, but I feel like we're trying to get it to take off again. I've assigned a lot of probationary developers some new tasks earlier today, so I've given them a lot more stuff to do and a lot more projects to complete, so we can get a lot more ambience and a lot more buildings into this map, including. We're going to do some updates to Engine 65 station and try and make that one a little bit more detailed, just so we can get a lot more of a better look and a lot more realistic look. Because actual New Yorkers are going to play this map, as I'm sure everybody knows, and even watching the stream probably now we have some actual New Yorkers. So yeah, we want to make sure that it's really good in their eyes because they live there. So they live in New York. They live in New York City because they're New Yorkers. So they know this area better than I do. Although I have done a ton of research over the amount of time that we've been working on this. Which, by the way, SoNY has been out for over a year now, which is quite the feat, although it doesn't really show in this map. But when it comes to how much we've evolved since the beginning and how much updates and more realistic our vehicles have become and our buildings, I'd say that we've made quite a lot of progress in the last year. But we still have a lot more to go before this map is ready for initial release. All right, so is anybody in the chat ready for a little drive around of this area? Well, I can continue to answer some questions and all that. All right, so I'm probably going to start with the New York State Police car. All righty. So that image that you just saw on the loading screen is actually community voted. We did a screenshot session and a little bit of like cinematic screenshot session, and we brought out some of the emergency vehicles that we had at the time, and basically made a little scene and tried to capture some screenshots. And we took about maybe 11 to 13 screenshots at least. And that one was the highest voted in the development Discord. So remember that if you're in the development Discord, you get a lot of pings, but yes. But you will be able to participate in a lot of development polls to have a say in what goes into this game. All right, so here is the New York State Police high-rise light bar. This is brand new, and I just recently completed this, and it is based off of the actual light patterns that are on this light bar in real life. And I'm still working out some bugs when it comes to being able to turn it on and off, but the high riser actually does work. And we're going to work on changing this GUI and adding a more light, kind of cooler light control system and siren control system and all that. Obviously, I'm still going to keep keybind sirens because they are a lot easier to use when responding. And by the way, I get asked all the time, are these vehicles for sale or can I have them? No, unfortunately, you cannot. These vehicles are reserved by SoNY, and they are property of SoNY, so if you do have them, probably is not a good thing. Stealing models is a ban from the game permanently, and we will also have investigation into your account and find out if you have any of these models on alt or if you're giving them away. We also had that problem earlier. If you saw the FDNY trucks got stolen video that I uploaded a while ago with a user called Greg Sherrill, who actually had his account banned, which is a good thing, but he made a new account called progress_dev, and we do have a ban issued for him and his groups on SoNY. And there's probably going to be maybe about a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit in all the city, because I know that if you're going the usual 25, then it's really, really slow, especially if you're on an area that doesn't have a lot of traffic. It will really depend on the player volume that we get into the game. So if there's a lot of players and there's a lot of traffic, much like in real life, well, then we'll probably lower the speed limit. But yeah, here's the light bar. I really like this light bar. I think it's one of the best ones that I've made so far, especially because now it's multifunctional. It isn't even just about flash patterns, so now it actually is a high riser. And there's also these really nice grill lights and lights around the headlight. We still have to add those backlights, as I said before. And the FBI and DHS heads are in the stream chat. So watch out for those guys. So don't get on their bad sides. Honestly, just don't take models, because I give out tutorials. I have PKEG. I mean, I that's about as much help as I can give you. If you're stealing models, you're not actually, having the satisfaction of being able to look around a map like this and say, I built those or anything like that. And if it's okay if you use free models, but just remember that nobody wants to see a ton of free models in your map. At least customize them to make them more your own, and make them look a lot better, and make them work a lot better. So anyway, now it's time to show you guys the actual function of the high riser. And I also love, if you can see this on the wall, this reflectance that these lights give off on the wall, especially for the visions when you actually see them spinning and then it gets brighter towards the center. It's just a really, really amazing thing to see in this game. And for the high riser light bars, we press K, which, by the way, any keybinds or anything are subject to change. And there we go. That's a high riser. Now, I'm pretty sure that these yellow and blue lights in the middle here aren't actual, real lights on these light bars. But honestly, I feel like I really like it because NYSP has the yellow and the blue lights, so I really want to take advantage of those and just make them look really nice. Because there's not actually a lot of videos of these bars up from the rear. These bars are actually really rare in a lot of media that is currently out there. So it was kind of hard to find good references, especially of the light bar actually on. I found a lot of pictures of the light bar, but not actually in use. So this is basically what I was able to get off a video of a New York State Police patrol car at a parade. So part 3 of the fire truck tutorial I get asked a lot about. It is done. I do have it recorded. I recorded it immediately after 2, but as for editing it just takes a while, and I've been more focused on actually doing development. So that's why I haven't actually put in a lot of time to edit the video and get that out. So yeah, here's the high riser light bar. I really like it, and I can also fold it back down. I just really like this modern style that this light bar has. It's just something about it, like that black color with all the lights, you know, especially kind of spaced out and how it's double stacked for these actual high risers. I really just like the look and design of it. So that's why I chose that one over the standard LEDs that a lot of the other cars have. And I believe that this is more common used in New York City. So I don't know. There's also this new license plate, which I designed from scratch. And it is set up much like an actual NYSP license plate, where it has a number, the troop letter, and then the car number. Engine 65 is already done, by the way. I've sent pictures of it in the updates channels. I don't know if everybody saw them, but yes, FDNY Engine 65 is completed. So yeah, here's what I was talking about with the NYPD. Like, I don't want this to be scrolling all the time, so I have to find a way to be able to turn it on and off. And this bar is a little fidgety, and I'm still getting used to text movement on Surface GUIs, so it's something that I have to learn in order to be able to better understand how that operates. Because, listen, developing is a huge learning experience. You have to learn a lot of things in order to be able to better understand how things work in Roblox and how the physics are. By the way, this is my New York State Police First Sergeant uniform. It has the 3 chevrons, then the 3 lower chevrons. I don't actually know what the bottom ones are called, if they have a specific name, but yeah, it's this First Sergeant chevrons. So it has that square in the middle of it, and then the NYSP patch, the name bar, the collar pins, and a tie clip, and then the matching pants with the black stripe. Alrighty, so NYPD and PAPD. Now, you may notice on some of these car textures that these look really pixelated, and I'm currently in the works, testing higher resolution textures for these cars. I posted it in the development Discord, in law enforcement updates. So I'm currently testing out some higher resolution textures for these cars and trying to make these logos come out a little bit better. But so far, it looks pretty realistic from a distance, especially. But if you look at it up close, it's kind of, you can see it. But otherwise, you still get the general idea of how this looks. And as a little bonus, I throw in a New Jersey plate on these PAPD cars, and some of them will probably have the New York orange plates, but this one has the New Jersey plates. Because PAPD operates in both New York and New Jersey, so sometimes you'll have New Jersey vehicles which will come into New York City on patrols. I'm pretty sure NYSP has black stripes on their pants, but I will definitely double check with that comment. Thank you for telling me about that. Okay. Nope. They do have black stripes on their pants. I don't know if it's a different state police unit, but I'm pretty sure that they have the black stripes to remember their fallen brothers and sisters. Jersey operators, PAPD does not get municipal plates, so they don't have MG, because technically PAPD is an interstate organization. So it would actually be more of a state government, but even then it can't be state government because it's actually multiple state governments. So they just use regular license plates. I don't know why, but that's actually how they have it. The New York City Sheriff's Office, I have not done a lot of updates to it. We currently have a texture for an Explorer, but that's about the farthest extent. Because the NYCSO is not really a major priority versus something like NYPD or the FDNY. So, sorry, hacknets. They cannot be federal plates because they're not federal vehicles. So you wouldn't see a DHS-style plate on a PAPD car. All right. Yeah, the first-person issue is actually fixed on newer trucks. This one is still outdated. So, and by the way, if you are expecting updates into the public early access map, this is actually a different team create than the early access map. This is the development one, so we're going to do a lot of testing and some minor changes to standard gameplay components in here to be able to test things a lot better and get you screenshots and images previews for Discord updates. So eventually, every so often, this map will be published onto the public one. So development updates. So if any bugs happen in here, they won't happen to the main map. All right, so I'm gonna head over to the Roblox home or the Roblox avatar page and grab a more fitting uniform if I'm going to be driving that NYPD car. Alrighty, so let's exit out of here and reset our character. By the way, I don't know if you hear any game audio. It is very quiet. I don't know why the ambience is not working, and that's not supposed to happen. I thought I fixed that. All right, well, in that case. So, yes, obviously this game is still going to have a lot of bugs and a lot of issues to fix. It's just how development is going to be working, especially because we're having an unfinished map be released. So everything that you see here is always subject to change. You never know. And we're always working to try and make stuff a little bit more realistic and a little bit more detailed as we move along here. Development applications for SoNY are open. You can find them on our Discord. Now, if you heard the audio cut out for a second there, that is not because of an in-game reason. That is because of I clicked out of Roblox Studio. So you know that is not a bug. All right, so here we have the NYPD command uniform. So this is for higher ranks like lieutenant and above. They'll get the white shirts, and they'll have a citation rack with their badge, and PKEG can also provide them with their name. So this is actually a general command shirt, so it will save people who are in the group some Robux. So every time you rank up or every time you get a new citation bar, you will not have to spend 5 Robux on a brand new shirt. Instead, you can probably spend around 2 or even get it for free through t-shirts. So the insignia and the citation bar rack and the badge and the name bar, English, okay. Those are all part of a t-shirt that overlays your regular NYPD shirt. Development applications are open 24/7. Open all the time. There will be some times where the development application will be open, but I'm not really accepting any developers, so it will be automatic denial based on if there's too many positions are filled or anything like that. There's really a lot of factors that can contribute to your acceptance or your denial from a development position. And like I said before, I wanted to make a new lighting GUI, and that's currently what I'm working on for the FDNY, where I can control all the lights from the same script, because right now they're separated, and I could make this look a lot better. So that's what's in the plans. So anyway, we have our regular grill lights and wigwags and all that, our back flashers, and then we have our overhead light bar, which looks really nice. And I still have to fix it so that when the lights face the front, they change to red per New York State law. For whatever reason, they do not allow front-facing blue lights. And this is in real life. It depends on your skills. I'm really looking for some highly qualified people because right now we have quite a few probationary developers. So be sure that you send me screenshots of previous work, previous development work, and all that, so that way you can really ensure that you get a good position. If you have done a lot of good stuff in the past, I'd be more than happy to accept you into our probationary development position. So this is the NYPD car. Still, once again, GUI things that I want to sort of condense and put all into one thing, which was the plan with the FDNY GUI. And I also want, for the NYPD cars, I want the ability to change the unit number on your car, and that will also happen here. So there's a reason why there's no numbering here, because I don't want to make a million textures. I'm going to put like a text GUI over this, so you can mark out your precinct number and also your car's unit number from a GUI, which will be located somewhere on your screen. If you have ever seen Mano County's unit numbering system, that's kind of what I want to base it off of, where you can just enter your text and then hit a button, and then it will update the text on your vehicle. 432 Park Avenue, an extremely tall high-rise building, even in real life. It actually matches it. This 432 Park Avenue in real life actually goes over the roof height of One World Trade Center. It is not taller than it, but it does go over the roof height. So as you can see, we have these really nice 360-degree lighting coverage using the Federal Signal Vision light bar, which is mounted to the roof of this vehicle, as well as we have LPRs and then the rear lights and the front lights, which I showed before. So otherwise, this looks pretty nice as an NYPD car, and we also have the uniform to match. We do have rumbler sirens on it, which I may want to make modifications to. I don't know. It really depends on how the community feels about them. So here's a little demo. So that is one of the things that I also love about A-chassis is the suspension and the using the parking brake as a method to drift the vehicle. So if you're ever in a high-speed pursuit, you're going down these straight roads, somebody suddenly makes a turn, and you can actually drift into that roadway, which they just turned into, which I really like. It is one of the things that you can do once you master using the parking brake and driving at the same time. And I just crashed the vehicle. So there's this option for a camera mode, which I can use in studio to demonstrate and get some better cinematic screenshots for you guys. So this is what the NYPD car looks like. Once again, I really love the reflection and the flashers on the side there. Looks really nice. You will find out if you are accepted or denied through a brand new letter that I made. Normally, you would just see if you get the probationary developer role, then that means you are accepted. But now I actually have a letter which will be sent out to you via DMs, which will state the status of if you are accepted or denied. All right, so here we are at Rescue 1. Now I'm actually going to park the car here, turn off our light bar and all that, and hop out of this vehicle. Here's our really nice NYPD uniform. All right, so a civilian's walking by and they want to try and get into Rescue 1. They cannot. The door is locked. You have to be in the group, and you also have to be on the team. So in that case, let's give ourselves access to the FDNY team. I do plan on making a team GUI, so for those of you who are like, oh, but I need admin to change teams, eventually you will not. All right, so now we're on the FDNY team, and much like in real life, there will be a bell sound when you open up the garage door. All right, so here we go. We're going to click the button, and that's going to take a little bit to open, and that's our little warning to anybody who's on the sidewalk or anything like that, that the door is opening and the truck's probably going to roll out. I would like to make a system where the door would raise as the bell would play, but my current knowledge of Roblox physics prohibits me from doing so. And we can also get in this door because now we're on the team, and we are also in the FDNY group. All right, so there's this hallway where we can go to the back of the station. This is one of the more open areas in the back of the station. I plan on adding some extra details and like a workbench or workstation like they have in real life. And you'll notice that there's some weird collisions here because of the small amount of space that we have where the tires, like there's an invisible tire themselves that actually take up some space outside of the truck. So this is one of the reasons why I changed the GUI, because the new GUI, I do not need to have that. So we can prevent this from happening. All right, so here's Rescue 1. The light bar on this truck does not work, like I said before, due to the missing lights on the rear of the vehicle. The light script that is currently on there does not function properly. And I also plan on adding rotators to the aerodynamic light bar, which is on this. So this is on some of the older, somewhat new ladders. So like maybe like 2012-ish. On the Ferrara ladders, you'll see this light bar. And these lights are actually made to rotate. So you'll have a rotating light on each end of the light bar. And then all the rest are LEDs. This is also the same concept for what is on the new Silverado battalion vehicles. For those of you who are aware, the FDNY has recently gotten a new vehicle for Battalion 9, and they are now driving a Silverado rather than the GMC Sierra. And the Silverado has a very special light bar because it has the elements of the Federal Signal Vision, these rotators, these little pods as they call it. It has one on each end of the light bar with LEDs in the middle. So that's something really interesting that they have that I'm probably going to try and recreate in the future. So the thing about a clothing locker is that that's still something to come. Once again, I still want to add more interior to the Bay Area of the stations and try and have that sort of stuff. The thing about uniforms and all that from the FDNY is that every single uniform is different for every company. They all have slight minor variations. Or sometimes, let's say I want to wear bunker pants and I have the straps on my regular shirt or a t-shirt, and every company's going to have their own t-shirt. So it's a lot of uniforms and a lot of scripts that I will have to make. But overall, it's something that I am setting up for at the moment currently. And here's that waving flag that I was talking about before. Just for that extra little detail. And here it is. Rescue 1 station, based off the actual thing. So if you've seen a picture of Rescue 1 station, you'll definitely recognize this. So the truck's GUI is still running off of an old system. And when I actually use the actual Q2B on the front of it, the Q will actually spin, which I could show you if you guys would like. And yes, the rescue does have a train horn. The only a few rescue companies in New York City, and there's only 5 of them, so few is there's like 1 or 2 of them, have a train horn. I don't know if Rescue 1 in real life does have a train horn, but I do know that Rescue 2 absolutely does. But since we're in Manhattan and we don't have Rescue 2, because that, I believe, is in Brooklyn, so we don't have Rescue 2 in here, so we don't have a train horn on any other fire apparatus, so might as well add one to Rescue 1. And honestly, this is the beast. You don't mess with the beast. Because if you mess with Rescue 1, you're going to get a very loud Q2B, EQ2B, horn, and train horn all sounded at your vehicle at the same time. So, yeah, not a very good combination. If you see a fire apparatus, especially in New York City, be sure to move your car, especially even if you're an emergency service vehicle. You should really move your car out of the way. And I added these I added these street lines here, so this is the area that the rescue will be parking in. So they might need to make a turn, so this is the area that needs to be kept clear at all times. And if the area is not kept clear, the NYPD, any really law enforcement organization, will have the right to ticket you for illegal parking or obstruction of other emergency vehicles. So do not block any area that you see like this if you're ever playing the game. Otherwise, you will probably receive a citation or even get arrested. You never know. It really depends on the circumstances that you get yourself in. All right, so we have our door opening sounds, doors with stop signs and lights. These doors have lights inside of them. We have our handlebar and our cabinets. These cabinets do not have handles or the door handles yet. And that's something that I'm still going to have to add. And the sound effect is actually recorded off of a real fire truck. All the sound effects for the doors are recorded by me. Alrighty. So, now there's no motor sound on this car because the GUI is still really broken. This one's really old. This is based off of Fire Simulator, and we're changing this because there's a lot of things wrong with it. There's a lot of stuff that is broken. Even Rengate himself, the original creator of this type of GUI, does not know how to fix. So the FE updates really killed that script. But anyway, here's Rescue 1. Unfortunately, I cannot demo the light bar, like I said before. We're missing this back section. And also, like I said before, these doors are already open once the game is actually running. So anyway, who's ready to hear some EQ to B. Don't worry, we'll get into the more fun stuff after. All right, so that is your standard EQ to B and Grover air horn. That is what you'll hear on a majority of the vehicles here in the FDNY. However, the rescues and squads are a little bit different, especially the rescue. The rescue has a lot of features that only the rescue has. And the rescue is one of the more intimidating trucks, even in real life. Don't mess with Rescue 1. They're a really skilled group of guys. So they really know what they're doing. They're some of the most highly trained members in the FDNY. So they really know how to do their jobs. And they have probably one of my favorite vehicles. This heavy rescue made by Ferrara looks really nice. So... And there's also not a lot of roof shots of Rescue 1 because there's not really a lot of overhead. It's surprising because of the amount of high-rises. You would think somebody would have a video of the top of Rescue 1, but they don't. So that's one of the things that I really want to see if I can get when I go to visit these guys in New York City. All right, so let's fire up the EQ again. I don't know if you guys can hear desktop audio, right? Oh, really? So you guys actually did not hear any of my Siren demos? My apologies. All right, so it looks like we have no for that, so I'm going to try a different audio source. Getting a little bit of sorry that I have to condense this. While I review the footage to see if you guys can hear this. Oh, you're going to hear some echo too from the stream. Give me a second while I mute that. Whoa, you guys can definitely hear that. I'm really sure that you guys can hear that. My apologies. I tried to demo some sounds before, and you guys couldn't even hear them at all. So you guys didn't hear the intro song that I was talking about with the fade effect, or the NYPD siren when I demoed it, so I'm going to have to go back and do that. I had my cousin watching the stream who just gave a thumbs up at me that the audio was working. All right, boys, who's ready for the response? Here we go. EQ to be in 3, 2, and 1. sure you guys definitely heard that one. Let me review the stream. Yep, you definitely heard that. Oh, we've also gained 2 new subscribers. Very nice. Alrighty then, so you've heard the EQ2B and the Grover air horn. Now, get ready for Rescue 1's full potential, being Rescue 1. Here we go, boys. Train horn. There we go. There's your Rescue 1 Siren demo for the stream. So let's put Rescue 1 back. I'm going to try to do this first try, but I'm probably going to fail because I'm currently streaming. Good to know. And I should have turned there. Luckily for us, the only way that we can go is turn around from here due to this road being closed and this being a one-way street that only goes that way. So we're going to have to make a U-turn. You see these shoulder lanes here. These are actually parking zones. So you can basically park wherever you want as long as these areas are open. I may add some bus routes or some bike lanes as we move forward and start shrinking some of these down and changing those to those other things that I mentioned before, like the bus and bike lanes. Bus and bike lanes. Very cool. Alrighty. So let's make sure that we are here and back her up. Nope, we didn't make it. Alright, so we'll pull forward and keep turning the wheel until we manage to. That's the weird thing as well with the collisions on the wheels that I was talking about before. You also can't get it in even if it looks like it's going in. So you have to be really, really specific. So that's my goal. If you can go to chauffeur school in the FDNY, if you do decide to join, everybody should be able to pack into the station first try. That is at least the plan. Alrighty. So yeah, as I said, the audio for the doors and the cabinets is all recorded based off of a real fire truck. And those sounds that you hear is the door, and then the slam when you hear that duck duck is actually the handle for the cabinet hitting the door. All right, so let's hear that bell sound again because it did not work the first time. And close this door. All right, now unfortunately, like I said before, this GUI is broken, which is why we are replacing it. So it does not close, it does not go away. So that is why we are not having it anymore. Alright. So now we're back in the NYPD car. We have these extra GUIs, which really don't do anything. So let's hit those lights back on again. And there goes the car. Way over there. But we can get right back to it. There we go. We do have turn signals on these cars. Use the C and Z keys. Alright, so I'm actually going to drive with traffic rather than against it like I normally do. And you can actually see the skyline is all lit up at night. So that's one of the cool things that you can see here. And we're going to see that loading screen again one more time because I actually want to show you what this game looks like in the daytime. And I also wanted to enable the daylight cycle, which I currently have disabled due to testing reasons. Just testing and development, so I wanted to get these night shots. So now I have to re-enable that, which is why we have this in a separate team create, because if I turn that off in game, it would be always nighttime, and everybody would be playing and be like, what the heck, this game is broken. I am trying to get custom sirens for NYSP based off of what they actually use in real life. However, downloading from 5M is not really helping me at this time. Alrighty. And then we have our Port Authority car, which I still have not made uniforms for, the Port Authority. But, yeah, that's just one of the things that I have to work with. I want to see if I can get rid of this car GUI. There we go. That's gone. Alright, so let's see what this game looks like when we start setting time today. I'm going to turn the daylight cycle on, and I might even limit down the amount of time that it takes for a cycle to go through. But for now, I'm just going to test really quick the, so you can see all these lights turn on and off. I'm actually going to fly myself as well, so that way we can get a better view. Never mind, I can do that. Alright, here we are. We have the World Trade Center in the background there, then the Empire State Building. Alright, so right now, those lights should have changed. Why did those lights not change? Why is it that when I try and do a demo, it doesn't work? Thank you, Roblox Studio, for being retarded. Yeah, don't worry about uniforms because PK provides us with our uniforms for SoNY, and that's the company that provided us with NYSP and NYPD uniforms. Which PK also reserved any New York City-based models and the New York State Police models and uniforms and anything like that for us. Alright, so that should actually be turned off for reset on spawn, but I don't know why it... Okay, thank you, Roblox, for being retarded. Alright, let's re-enable the time of day script. Alrighty. Now we can see that intro in full effect. Then we'll get to driving around the Port Authority car, which I still have not found out what type of siren the PAPD uses on their cars, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to get that. And here we are. There we go. Now the lights in the background have turned off. For some reason they weren't working before. Right, so now we are driving the PAPD Chevy Tahoe. And I may redo the engine startup because, yes, that is a Ford engine sound. So I'm going to have to get a more Chevy-like one. But here we go. PAPD is the only department that we have that actually has rear-facing vision lights like this, where they have a mini set. And the Port Authority, in real life, a lot of their vehicles just have this on the top of it with yellow. But if it's a police vehicle, then it will have the full vision light bar with the rear-facing as well. And here we go. Now this one actually has the all reds in the front and then the only rear-facing blue light, which is how the Port Authority actually has that light setup. It's really strange that they only have that one rear-facing blue light here. I guess that's just how they operate. And I'm still missing more lights, more of those extra lights like the traffic director and all that. So that's yet to come. That's still something that's in the works. But we can turn off that light bar and start driving around. So as I was saying with the suspension before, like, look at this. You see how the car bends and how it moves like a real vehicle. And here we go. We can fly down these roads. I'm probably going to modify the GUIs and the chassis to create some sort of limit to how fast you can drive. But for now, we're just really testing how fast you can get from one side of the map to the other. So, yeah, it's one of the really cool things is how fast these cars can actually go. Alright, here we go. Here's our temporary skyline. Some of these buildings are staying where they are, but others are moving. Especially, we're going to have some new buildings in the Midtown area and then some new buildings in Lower Manhattan. Now you can actually see the World Financial Center from here, which in reality, if you were next to Central Park on the Upper East Side, you would not be able to see the financial district, or you would not be able to see the Financial Center in Lower Manhattan. So yeah, we're going to need a lot more buildings to create the skyline and everything like that. Alright, so let's make a turn up here as we crash into everything. It is what we do. Alright, so you can actually see this really nice sun ray effect with the bloom of the lights. It really makes the game look realistic. So yeah, even if you have a building in front of you, you'll see that it will kind of end. You'll see that you'll actually go into the shadow, and then you can see that sun popping out of all the corners of the buildings. I think that's really cool as an effect in the game here. Now, Central Park is a wide open grassing field right now. So, yeah, we're going to have to add a lot more trees, a lot more details, but once again, this is initial release, which will be hopefully coming out by the end of the year. And And this is all pretty much subject to change, so is everything in the map. So you never know. There's probably going to be some major changes happening with the Central Park details sometime after initial release is actually put out. And we definitely need to add the rest of the teams, because right now we only have the 2 testing teams, which is Civilian and FDNY. Then we're going to need the team changer. So still a lot of scripting work to do, still a lot of GUIs to make, and that's really what takes a lot of time, but at least I want to get some of the probationary developers working on the buildings, so that way I don't have to worry about doing those as much as getting the more core scripts into this game. Now, if we were to be more true to realism, the PAPD would probably be more stationed around the outside of the map, next to waterways, and the World Trade Center, which the Port Authority does oversee, and the PAPD provides security for. The PAPD is also responsible for providing security at literally, basically any major transportation area. So the international airports like Newark, JFK, any ones around the New York City area, and transportation hubs like the Oculus and the World Trade Center, certain other areas, waterways, transportation. So really, the Port Authority is more of a security or police force, which is specifically made for transportation. And they also do have a fire department, which I doubt will be added into this game, because the fire department only covers specific bridges and areas within the city. And as you can see, the sun is starting to set on New York City, so we're going to see all these lights turn on. So let's head over towards Central Park and see if we can get a nice view of all these high-rises when their lights turn on. Or we can hit a wall at Central Park. Very nice. Alright, let's go. Quickly. There we go. There's our beautiful New York City sunset. Right there. Alright, here we go. You can see a shadow of the car here. So, I think we're in a good spot right here where we are. So let's kind of sit here for a second and just wait for that sun to go down. And you can still see the rays. You have the beautiful sun glare effect that is in this game. There they go. It's starting to become nighttime, and all those lights just turned on. And you can see that there's also the colorful lights that sit on the top of the Empire State Building. I may even add for special occasions so that they change colors, and they kind of make a colorful show that you can see in the background of the game. There goes the sun. And then here comes the moon rising. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful sunset here in New York City. And you can see that the building lights are now on for these 3 high-rises. I still have to make some more lights for the other buildings, and once I add the other buildings, they'll also need to have their own light systems as well. But overall, looks really nice. So we have that nighttime ambience. Keeping true to New York City, there is very, very few stars that you can actually see in the sky, due to the light pollution which comes from New York City. So if you're in New York City, there's a very, very tiny chance that you'll be able to see an actual star in the sky. You have to go to really, really remote locations now to be able to go stargazing. You'll see like maybe 1 or 2. That's about it. All right. So there we go. The Empire State Building all lit up, and then the World Trade Center in the background as well. Now, there is a question in the comments section of the stream right now, which is asking, what codes will we be using? And the codes will be based off of New York City's actual radio response codes. whatever we can get as public access. So like whatever we know that they use as certain calls. There will be a document made in administrations for how callouts will be given and how everything is going to be set up. Whoa, geez, what happened to my camera there? Okay. So we'll head over to Central Park, and we can actually see the area. Okay, that was not supposed to happen. Why is my camera freaking out? So we'll head over to Central Park and actually see the area where I filmed the first clip for the SoNY release trailer. That was this traffic light right over here, where you have the view of the Empire State Building and the World Trade Center in the background as a night shot. And then the light would change, and then we would go to the more cinematic part, which I filmed some of the buildings over here and just did a little flyby of those, and kind of went around to these vehicles. And there's Squad 18. Very nice texturing. All these textures are made by me. So like anywhere that you see text on the truck or any of these little white spots with text as well, those are all handmade by me. And I actually use a font finder website to grab the actual fonts that they use. And we even have PK's logo on these trucks. So it's a little bit of credit to Polk's Custom Emergency Gear Fire Apparatus for really doing a great job of making these trucks possible. And in fact, their entire fire truck program possible. It all started with these types of trucks. So these are really nice FDNY Seagrave Marauder 2 cabs. In this particular case, it's the Squad back. I don't have any engines to demo in here today, or ladder trucks, but definitely the 150 anniversary ladder is one of my proudest achievements. I really love the amount of decals and stuff that are on that truck that really resemble the spirit of New York City, and like it has all the blue areas with the stars, and then the skyline, and the silver leaf style text. It's really just an amazing looking truck. And if you want to see pictures of that, those are available in the SoNY Development Discord. And once again, here is the NYSP high riser light bar flash patterns. And you can see that there's a really nice bloom effect around these lights. And it just looks really, really nice up close. And I actually made these light bars. I made this entire light bar from scratch, as well as the code that actually, the scripting that actually makes it this light bar actually work, even with the front lights here. So yeah, and it actually has quite a bit of flash to it. Like you can see this pretty well at night. And we're still missing some of the lights towards the rear section of the vehicle, but overall, that's generally how this is going to look when if you ever see one of these in game. And obviously, I still have a lot more state police cars to actually design the textures for, and then put on the light bar. But now we actually have this base light bar, which I can copy over to other vehicles. So yeah. Same thing with the NYPD. I'm still working on textures for a few other cars. Right now we have a Ford Taurus, a Dodge Charger, and this Explorer. And I really like the Explorer. I think the Explorer is really nice. If the Dodge Charger had the high riser light bar and was a highway patrol unit, I think it would look absolutely amazing. It would also look amazing as a slick top vehicle as well. But the Explorer, I think because it's such a general vehicle that you would see on a New York street, and it's one of the more common police vehicles, it just looks really nice. Alright, there we go. So that is generally the overview of SoNY. This live stream will be saved to my YouTube channel for anybody who has any questions, because this was honestly more of just a demo and a Q&A of what is actually happening that you can only really see pictures of in the Discord. But now here's a full video of almost like a mini tour around the current status of this map. If you have any feedback or any suggestions that you would like to see into this game, be sure to go on to our Discord. The development Discord has a suggestions channel which you can add your game suggestions into. And just remember that we're focusing more on major mechanics, not really a lot of small stuff like special vehicles like NYPD ESU or unmarked cars or canine units. Because we have gotten requests for those, and yes, they are in the plans. Be sure to check our public Trello board. Anybody can view the Trello board if you want to see what is in the plans and what we're currently working on. So that way you can be up to date with the status of development and buildings and everything like that. So yeah, just be sure to join the SoNY development Discord. If you join the main Discord, there will be a link that you can find if you just do a little bit of scrolling in announcements. Or the old development updates channel also has a link to the new development Discord, because it used to be announced in SoNY, but people were complaining about the tags and all that. So now it's more separate, so we have a more centralized announcement area for a lot of these cars without making a lot of channels in the main Discord. All right. And I also get asked on when departments will be opening, and I plan to get departments to start opening around October. Not guaranteed, mind you. But I also get asked when people want to be able to join these departments and when departments are open. Currently, departments are not open, so don't ask for any applications or anything like that. Please wait for them to officially open. If you want to know when that's happening, once again, join the Join the Discord, because that is when announcements and everything regarding departments will be announced. So if you want to find your applications when they are released, that's the place to do it. So anyway, I think that is basically the general overview of this entire map, and any other questions. Hopefully I answered everybody's questions. If you have any questions or anything like that, ask me on the Research and Development Discord regarding the game. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for following all this and watching the stream and supporting my channel. It really means a lot to me. And yeah, that concludes the stream. So see you guys in the next video, and hopefully I'll try and make another stream or a video that lets you know any changes that I make here. Alrighty then. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.